Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. As you can see at the top of the screen here, this is Super Mario Games Tier List Maker. I know a lot of people do this sort of stuff where they have a look at varying tier lists and whatnot. And you know what, I thought, sod it, I'm going to rate the Mario games. And I'm primarily looking at just the mainline Mario games. You can see here, the new Super Mario games, 3D World, 3D Land, the classic ones, Galaxy 1, 2, a couple of the Game Boy ones, Sunshine, 64, and Odyssey. You can see down here there's like Super Mario Maker. I've left that off because even though it is a Mario game, it's different to the rest of this. Yoshi's Island I'm also leaving off because it has very different mechanics. All Stars is a fantastic game. We'll come back to that maybe later, but like, you know, I want to rate the games individually. Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi, I don't consider them mainline Mario games, so they're all off the list at the moment. So I realised Luigi's Mansion 3 is missing from this, isn't it? Anyway, so let's start things off. Now they're all sitting in the E category, they're not all going to end up here. S is basically my favourite ones, and then down the list and so on and so forth. I'm going to give you my reason for each of these, so we'll go from there. Let's start with Odyssey. I think Odyssey is an A rank. I think Odyssey is a really good game. It's probably my favourite 3D Mario game. I think because a lot of people know I don't like Mario 64 that much. Spoilers. I think Odyssey does a much better job of having that kind of game style, sandbox game style, but done well. Essentially, you know, you're in a big area, you get to explore that area, you're not getting kicked out every time. There are lots of objectives to do. You can do them at your own pace in any order you want. You get to explore. There's secrets everywhere. That like each world is very different. And because of that, and because it's a sandbox Mario game, the soundtrack is also fantastic in this game. It just, everything works really well. For a Switch game, it just plays really nicely. The cap mechanic is really good. How athletic Mario is, the triple jumps, the backflips bouncing off the cap. There's just a lot of good level design in there, and like, you know, it's not a game you want to play too regularly because you have to collect all the moons again. But honestly, like in terms of 3D Mario games, this game is absolutely solid. Fantastic game. Really fun. It just handles that sandbox style really well. I will say some of these may move around as time goes on, but we'll go there. Let's go something different. Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins, a game that a lot of people love. Nah. It's very okay. Like, I think the reason why I don't like this game is it's a game that there's only a couple of good bits of music in this for me. Like the Starman music's really poor. The space track's really good, and there's one particular overworld theme that's really good. The power-ups are all right. A lot of the design of it's very strange, and I know Super Mario Land generally is a very strange designed game, but honestly, it's it's not that great. I just don't think it. A lot of people prefer it to the first one, but I mean, it handles a bit better than the first one, but it's just not as memorable to me. The music in the first game is far superior, which is huge, and I just think, yeah, it's a game that's quite forgettable in a lot of reasons. And yes, it did introduce Wario, to be fair, and there is some good level design, but I don't like a lot of the worlds in it. It's just definitely not. It's cool what they tried to do with it, but it's definitely not in terms. We'll rank the second one. The first one. First one is definitely a rank above it, and people are gonna be like, "Ooh." But that's my take. I think Super Mario Land, the first one, while it is a bit weird and it does have a bit of jank, I think the game is much more memorable because of how weird it is. The music is absolutely fantastic. Pretty much every world, like all the stages. The fact that it is a short game, you know, Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins is a longer game. There's more content there, but the first game, I don't know, it's just near and dear to my heart. I think it's still fairly playable. There's a couple of oddities about it, where like sometimes you with hitboxes and things, but generally speaking, I think the game's more memorable. It doesn't outstay its welcome. Pretty much all the worlds are fun. Admittedly, the Fire Flower, or the Super Ball in this case, is a bit of a weird power-up, but level design wise, it's pretty good, it's pretty straightforward, and it's a fairly easy game to get into. Definitely both of these games combined could do with having a remake for sure. We want Game Boy remakes. Let's get some of this stuff on the go. Alright, let's jump over to the new Super Mario Brothers games. Let's go with the first one. I think the first one is probably about a C as well. From what I remember, and it has been a little while since I played it, like, this game ain't bad. It introduced, what, the blue shell suit, the mini mushroom, the mega mushroom, I think, and possibly one other suit, but that might be the only things that got introduced. Now, I haven't played this in a very long time, but I don't remember it being a bad game. In fact, I remember it being, like, quite fun when it came out. I think the only lackluster thing was, the problem with this new Super Mario Bros. Games is a lot of the music doesn't hold up particularly well. The main theme's pretty good, but this series, the whole new Super Mario series, really, the music just is lackluster in the series completely, which is really unfortunate. But I think the game did some good ideas. I remember the game being fairly fun. I haven't played it in a few years, but the biggest problem is that because you've got these other new Super Mario Bros. Games, they do things better in a lot of ways. 2's a bit of an odd one out, because 2 is a very different game style. But Wii and U, like, I remember them just having better level design and things like that anyway. So, not a bad version for a DS. Did introduce some cool ideas, lots of secrets. But it also started the formula of very formulaic Mario games, which unfortunately all of these are. I mean, essentially, they're all just different level packs. This one I don't remember as well either. This one I do fairly well. But I think as of right now, the original New Super Mario Bros. For the DS, definitely kind of on the same with the Game Boy one. I play either of these. They're both fairly fun, but I think the other games are more memorable. Alright, 3D World. No, let's do 3D Land. 3D Land is a B. 3D Land is a really, really, really good game that uses 3D mechanics fantastically well. It's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a lot of content. You get to play as Luigi and Mario, who I think have slight differences, but very slight differences. But the use of 3D makes me want to have that on all platformers. It's so good for what it is. Like, it's such a good designed handheld experience, and it kind of brought the games back in line with like the original and Super Mario Bros. 3 and things like that, which is it's a 3D environment with very linear kind of game style, which I like. You know, starting at a point, getting to the flagpole. I love that in Mario. Those are my favorite level designs, because Mario to me is all about having you have your level is your gimmick essentially. You're trying to get through it, get to the end point, and each level can be an individual whatever it wants. Does it want to be a lava level? Does it want to be platform based? Does it want to be a swimming level? Whatever it is, it goes from each level being an individual challenge. The good thing about this game as well is it has like slightly more like open-y levels. It has like some more puzzle-y levels. There's a good mix of all kinds of playstyle, and like I said, the 3D really, really helps with this game. This is a really fun game, and honestly, it was a lot of good content for the 3DS. It was definitely a game that I'd recommend. However, 3D World definitely up there in A tier as well. 3D World, a lot of people think 3D World's like down here. Like, a lot of people really don't rate 3D World highly as I do, but 3D World has a fantastic soundtrack. It has a fantastic style, very, very like bright, colourful game. A lot of good levels, a lot of expanded ideas that 3D Land had in. I will admit, if this game was in 3D, like if the Switch or something, or sorry, the Wii U had the ability to play the game in 3D, would have made it even better. Probably be up there, to be honest. But honestly, like, added in a lot of new mechanics. You got the cannon head stuff. I think that might have been in 3D Land, I can't remember, but like the cannon head. Just a lot of really cool design choices. You could use the gamepad on some of it. The co-op was really, really fun to play. You've seen me and Mark definitely did it for the channel. I love the overworld. I love the fact there's bonus worlds. Just a really jam-packed game. Introduced the cat suit, being able to climb stuff. The mega mushroom was in it. Boomerang suit was in it, and things like that. Just solid level design throughout. Very short levels, very long levels. A mix of all kinds of stuff. And honestly, like, as someone who prefers the 2D style, but this is a 3D game, like, it marries those together perfectly well. And that's why, like, to me, Odyssey is like the king of the sandbox games. 3D World is like the king of like the 2D style, but in a 3D environment. So, like, absolutely amazing games. Where should we go next? Sunshine. Drop you in there. Sunshine is a game that I had played it, but I don't remember playing it in a very long time. But from my memory serve right, I just didn't. I hated the music. The gameplay of actually using FLUDD was fun. Like, I'll give that. I actually had fun sliding around and things. But it has this old kind of like jump in the level, do the level, come out of the level, go back in, which Odyssey is basically like this game but 20 times better, except you don't have flood. This had some cool ideas, like cool design stuff. It's a game that would actually benefit from getting remastered, where you can like make the controls better, you can like simplify some of the levels, you can like go back and fix some of the jank that was in it. But yeah, in terms of like gameplay, I remember like there's a level with a manta ray you have to shoot that was kind of fun, and then there's like a Ferris wheel level, but I never completed it. I got about halfway through the game to a bit longer. I just didn't like really the way that Mario was going. The blooper levels were a pain if you like trying to surf on them. Just in terms of a 3D game, like there were some good ideas, but I just don't think they were necessarily well executed. But you know, it's a weird one, Sunshine. I'd like to go back and play it. The bonus games in this game are amazing. We have the doo-wop Super Mario Brothers tune playing, but where you lost flood and it became a platforming challenge, those are actually really good. Probably the biggest redeeming quality of the game in totally. Excuse me. Right, what's next? Let's go with Super Mario Brothers. It's gonna have to be an S rank. It's just a fantastic game. Like, yeah, it's out of all the Mario games, it's very basic. But you know what? It's so iconic. It still plays really well. And to be honest, the All-Stars version is also a lot of fun to play. It's a game that I can go back to if I want something to pick up and play nice and easily. This is, you know, I'm more than happy to play this. Very short, like not very short, but short enough that you can play in like half an hour to an hour. Fun level design. It's, you know, it's quirky. It probably still has a few flaws and whatnot, but it's where it all started. And honestly, it's a game that I just enjoy a lot. I think it's just a fun game that I'm like, oh, I'm bored. I've got like half an hour to kill. I'll just crack open Mario Brothers and play like 20 minutes, 30 minutes of that. See if I can get through the game fairly quickly. Like, a lot of fun. Really, really good game. And even now, it still holds up. And some of the best level design in a platformer ever. First level is obviously very iconic. But the game is just solid. Like, you know, it's just fun to play. That's why it's going up there. World! I think World is going to go in... Ooh. I'm going to put World here, which is probably going to shock a lot of people. Now, that's not to say World is bad. World and Free, even though I'm not putting Free here, World and Free are always the ones that people compare a lot to each other, which is better and whatnot. Now, I am all about Free. I think Super Mario Bros. 3 is a much better game. I think the level design is better than World. I know World obviously introduced Yoshi, but 3 also has slightly better music. Not to say this game has bad music, because it doesn't. But World, to me, and this is going to sound like a weird thing, can be a little bit forgettable. Because I never feel like, I'm never really in the mood to play World as much as I am 3, 1, 2, some of the other games. And the thing with World is it handles very differently to 3, the physics and stuff in that game, and that always throws me off. But what good things I can say about it is, yes, it did introduce Yoshi. Yes, there are a hell of a lot of levels. There's a lot of content for your money in World. It's very bright and very colourful. It's got a fairly difficult difficulty curve. Once you get to Vanilla Valley, which is the third world, it starts to ramp up quite significantly. There are less power-ups, which is definitely a thing against it, which is unfortunate. But it's still a solid game. It's still well made and whatnot. I just think... this is the thing, like, what would I play over that? Like, yes, I'd play that over there, because it's just fun, short pick up and burst. You know, plenty of memorable stuff. These two, absolutely. This one, absolutely. In fact, I would probably put this here. Out of all these, so if we get this in a proper order, left to right as well, this is the order I play them currently. And I think that's really important that we play, you know, that we have World before Land, because even though I love Land, World is... still a better game, really. So, but yeah, it's a very solid game. I get why people love it. It's not as memorable as like 3 and 1 and some of the other games to me, but it is fun and it is a good game. Brings me to, let's go for this one. Where are we gonna put this? I'm gonna put this here. New Super Mario Bros. 2 is a very weird game, and I don't really know how to rank it. It's all about collecting coins, and again, I haven't played for it in a while. The only reason I put it above the first, it's easily better than this one. I think it looks better, it plays better, it brings back the raccoon. Admittedly, that's 3DS and that's DS, but It just, I think the level design's a bit better, but I like the concept. It's a slightly different Mario game in the sense that you are literally just getting coins. The whole point of it is you just get tons and tons and tons of coins. And the DLC also has like Easter eggs referencing other Mario games and other Mario levels. But it's quite short. It's only 5 worlds, I think. I think it might be 6 or 7, but I think you only do 5 unless there's 2 secret ones. And the problem is it follows the same sort of tropes as this. There's not much different about it. Except for the fact that you have the golden fire flower that turns stuff into coins. Like, being able to try and get 1,000,000 coins and all that stuff is a lot of fun. It's really easy, because the game is literally just collect coins. It's super easy. But it does kind of have an objective, which is to try and hit 1,000,000 coins. So in that sense, I actually kind of like the fact that it's a bit more creative, and it's a bit different for a Mario game in some ways. But, I mean, compared to these other two, like, yes, it's definitely better than this. And this one is, you know... The reason Super Mario Land is better than New Super Mario Bros. Is just way more memorable for me. But New Super Mario Bros. 2, 6 gold coins. New Super Mario Bros. 2 is just a very fun... If you want a very easy Mario game and you want to romp through and just have a laugh with it, it's actually, from what I remember, it's fairly fun. But definitely, probably not as good as World. I think World probably holds up, better level design and whatnot, but it's definitely a good game for the 3DS. Right, where are we going now? Galaxy 1 and 2. Oof, this is tough. I think that's right. I think that's where I want to put Galaxy. Galaxy is a really good game, and I much prefer it over the kind of sandbox style. Well, that was until Odyssey came out. Because it did the thing where you go to a level, usually twice or 3 times at max, where you go to the level, you do a long level, you do the objective, get the star, and you have a comic version of it, and then usually a bonus one. Mario Galaxy was a really, really, really solid game on the Wii, and I remember having a lot of fun with it. I think the only reason I prefer these two games is this one just handles nicer, and for a sandbox game it's a bit better, and 3D World obviously lives up to the more 2D style I like. I'm not saying that Galaxy is bad in any means, it's not, it is a fantastic game. It is really, really solid. Great soundtrack, except for the observatory, I don't like the music there, but generally great soundtrack, really cool new power-ups. The camera shifting around the planets and the gravity mechanics are awesome. Really solid game overall. Not a game I ever 100%ed, not a game I probably will ever 100%. Some of those challenges, like some of the comet challenges, are a bit pooey. But honestly, very, very good game. And because it was like a massive jump from Sunshine, it really did. It was kind of what got me into 3D Mario, to be honest. Sunshine and 64 were not the games to do that at all. Galaxy, I have a lot of fond memories of, which is why I'm going to put Galaxy 2 here. Now, I honestly can't remember which one I prefer. Galaxy 2 has a world map, which I do like, harkens back to 3. But I remember Galaxy having a bigger impact on me personally. But without going back and playing these games back to back, I wouldn't say. I remember the level design being fantastic in both of them. Galaxy 2 obviously introduced Yoshi. The one thing Galaxy does have over 2 is the fact that it had music from Super Mario Bros. 3, it had the athletic theme, and that was replaced in Galaxy 2 with some world music, which, you know, very minor thing, but, you know, I enjoy video game music a lot, so I like the nods to Super Mario Bros. 3. Yeah, Galaxy 2, it's just solid as the first one. A little bit more streamlined, perhaps. I think Galaxy 2 had the Throwback Galaxy, which was a reference to Womp's Fortress in 64. So that's pretty cool. But, to be honest, both these games are on the same par for me, even though I've put Galaxy maybe slightly above it, but it's only very slightly. Like, both of them are really solid games, really good games, and if the rumours are to be true and we're going to get remasters of them for the Switch, that'd be great. They're going to look really, really nice, rezzed up. I hope they do some extra things to it, but yeah, they are two of the best Mario games ever made, without a doubt. 3D World, like I said, is only above it because it just happens to play into more of the playstyle. I like more level-based, very straightforward A to B kind of gameplay. Odyssey is just an absolute blast to play. But these two are also fantastic. Like, you can see that these 3D games like are all fairly good at the moment. All the 3D games are higher than the 2D games, which is kind of weird. Which is why we're going to do this. Pretty obvious, really. Spoilers, Super Mario Bros. 3 is my favourite game, or Mario game of all time. In my opinion, it is the best 2D platformer ever made. It handles incredibly well. The level design is amazing. There are a lot of levels. There are a lot of power-ups. The music is memorable. It builds upon the first game so well. Like, so well. And it's just like one of those things where it's like, you know what, this game is almost perfect. It's not completely perfect. There are some slightly dodgy level design in some of the later levels. But everything else, I mean, this game is like 10 out of 10 material for me. You know, it's like right up there. Some of these other games are, but like that game is just incredible. It's such a fun game, and I can't recommend it enough, really. Like, if you've never played it, you need to play it. In terms of 2D Mario games, nothing comes close to this. A lot of people will say World, a lot of people prefer World, but not for me. I think Mario 3 is far superior to World. Again, that's not to say World is... And, like, all these games are good in their own rights. Like, none of these games are terrible. Like, the difference between World and 1 for me is... 3 and 1 is just that 3 is a much more solid experience. 1 is still fun. It's like putting Galaxy 1 and 2 here versus these two. The only reason they're in this tier list is to kind of more split up my reasoning behind it. They could easily be here after these games. That's basically what I'm saying for those. Put you there. But I just think if I had to play these games in order, what would I pick first? Be this, and so on and so forth. But 3 is just everything I ever wanted in a platformer. I've played that game so many times. I've completed it so many times. Like, I just love everything about it. It's why I do an entire series on the channel is like Super Mario Bros. 3 Remix, because I wish there was this game. I wish this game got remade. May not handle as well, but I'd love to see it with like really nice modern graphics and stuff. In fact, do All Stars again. Just do it all again. Right, what have we got left? Let's go with this one. New Super Mario Bros. Wii. In fact, let's put it there. New Super Mario Bros. Wii and Wii U are blur into one for me. I honestly can never remember too much of the difference. I know that this has slightly better music. Slightly than this. But in terms of level design, like, I think they're pretty much the same. In fact, let's do both of them at once. Let's do this. I think this game is better than you. I think. But whatever's in it is very, very small. It's definitely both definitely better than the original. They play better level design, they look nicer. Co-op, I watched Mark play, actually, Super Mario Bros. U recently, and I remember that being a lot of fun. I like the world map on it. Lots of secrets. You know, I do like the new Super Mario Bros. Series. It's just a bit generic. The problem with Wii and Wii U is that they don't look that much different, they don't play that much different, and the levels are pretty much the same. There might be bigger differences than I remember, but they're definitely, like, compared to some of these other games, like, this is probably my favourite one in the series, which is kind of weird to say, but I think it's just different enough compared to the rest of them. Like, U is still good. Wii is still good, but I'd still rather play these other games first. But yeah, both of these games are just they just have a very generic look to them. The multiplayer is always fun, picking people up and chucking them off down pits and stuff is great. Actually, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it this one slightly better, and the simple reason is that when you play that on the gamepad, you have the ability to play like put down blocks and stuff. That is actually really, really fun, and I think it probably, just for that alone, makes it slightly better for me than Wii, because you can play 4-player, you can also play 5-player, sorry, and have that person use the gamepad, and you can either screw people over or you can help them out. And that alone, I remember having fun with it. So yeah, probably just edges it out. But both these games could be put into one game and just be called like New Super Mario Bros. I would say Deluxe, but that already exists. But like basically a version that has all the levels in it. Right, let's 2. Where would I put 2? Here. Super Mario Bros. 2 is a weird game, but it's a game that I love. It's definitely, for me, I'd rather play it over World, so it definitely goes there. But I'd rather play these other games first. 2 is just, it's fun and quirky, and obviously it's based on a different game. Lost Levels isn't even in this, is it? So let's use this as Lost Levels. It's fun and it's quirky and just different, and I like the fact that it brought in a lot of stuff to the Mario series, like Bob-ombs, Pokies, Shy Guys, Ninjas. There's a lot of stuff from that game that actually made its way into the mainline Mario stuff ever since that game. So that game we have a lot to thank for. Music's really good in it. The boss fights are kind of weird. The fact that you can pick stuff up and ride on things is interesting. There's a lot of things that it did that I actually really like. It's a hard game for sure. It's not up here. It doesn't. I mean, I love it, but I'd rather play these games over it probably. But it's still, Super Mario Bros. 2 is a fun game, and a lot of people rag on it unnecessarily, I think. And I know because it's based on a different game, but it still plays well, it's still fun to play. The fact that each of the 4 characters handles differently is also cool. So, in that sense, I'm like, yeah, this game is great. Like, it is a fun game. Like, it's just, I just like it. I like the thing with the Mario games being different. 1, 2, 3, and World, all different art styles, play very differently. To a degree, you know, 1, 3, and World all have a similar style, but like they have different mechanics. This is what splits them up, whichever one of those you prefer the mechanics on. So 2's definitely going there. Lost Levels is going here. Lost Levels is fine. It's just, you gotta have patience for it. In fact, Lost Levels is going to go here. I definitely would prefer to play Lost Levels to those, and I don't mind cracking out Lost Levels from time to time, but it's just sometimes it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort for an expansion to the first one. It's okay. It's fine, but not amazing. I don't really have much to say on Lost Levels. I've played it a few times, but yeah, it's fun to try and complete now and then, but yeah, it's a ball ache. And then 64, which is staying in E. If you don't know, I despise Mario 64 a lot, mainly because I grew up playing 1, 2, 3 and World, and then played 64, and I was like, why can Mario punch and kick? Why is the music not that catchy? The camera is a nightmare in that game. There's a lot of things. Now I know people will be like, yeah, but it like brought the series forward, you know, into 3D and all this stuff. But quite frankly, it just didn't do anything for me. I played, when I actually finally did play it when I was a bit older, I played the DS version, which I personally think is better. Get a lot of flack for that as well. But yeah, I don't have many good things to say about this. It just, there's some cool power-ups, I guess. But a lot of the levels are really boring and unmemorable. Like, a lot of the music just, it doesn't stick with me. But that's the thing. The fact that I put Sunshine above this is crazy, because a lot of people would put Sunshine underneath 64, but 64 definitely needs a remake, like a full-blown remake, and I think they need to change it so that it doesn't, if it doesn't kick you out of levels when you're trying to do the stars, that'd be great. I'd love that. But I don't think this game's ever going to be any higher on my list. It's always going to be at the bottom of my list. I just don't enjoy it. You know, I get why people do. I did an entire video on it, you know, saying why I don't like 64, all my reasons, but it's just, yeah, it's just not a fun game. It's not fun. It's just not memorable to me. I don't like half the levels. It's just like, oh, this level's a ball ache, this level's a ball ache, this level's a ball ache. And if I'm feeling that playing a Mario game, then something's clearly wrong. So, but there you have it. There is my tier list. I'll come back and do some of these other games at some point, the spin-offs and stuff. But yeah. So 3 is my favourite, 64 is my least favourite. This may change when we've had more games come out. Most of the stuff you can see in here in the C column. This is basically, it goes, these are the games I probably play. Then these are the, like, you can see this and this I play a lot. This one is just like, I like this game because it plays like a 2D game in a 3D style. This is a really good sandbox, and this is way better than this and this. These two games next to each other because they are fantastic platform games that kind of do a bit of both. They're kind of a bit linear and a bit like sandboxy. 3D Land was just a really solid 3DS experience. Super Mario Bros. 2 is just a fun game. It's very different. If you can get over that, it's very fun, and just has introduced a lot of things you know and love about the series. World is another really solid game. It's just, I don't really ever want to play it. I prefer 3. If I got a choice between 3 and World, I'll play 3. New Super Mario Bros. 2 just has a cool mechanic to it. It's not necessarily much better than this other stuff, but it has a cool mechanic, and that's good enough for me. Super Mario Land, just iconic, nostalgic, and regardless of the jank, it's still fun. These games are all kind of blend into one. This one being the best one, just because you have that extra ability with the gamepad to play and sort of dick over other people. Lost Levels, don't care too much, but I would prefer to play Lost Levels over 6 Golden Coins and Sunshine and 64. And the 6 Golden Coins I just find boring. Sunshine had a lot of issues, I never finished it, and 64 I just don't like the mechanics in most of the game, and I find a lot of the game boring. So there you have it. Thank you very much for watching this video today, guys. If you enjoyed it, hit like. If you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe. Probably won't do any more tier listing stuff. I might do something maybe like rate the Smash games or something, or rate the Smash characters. That might be kind of fun. But other than that, like, I'm probably not going to do too many more of these. If you want to get involved in the communities, the links for Facebook and Twitter will be down below as well. And until next video, I'll see you then.